Hi everyone, Miss Natalie here. Today we're going to be talking about making rockets using straws. And the cool thing about this experiment is that it actually shows you how rockets work. You can experience drag, which is how, of course, air affects a rocket or an object in flight, and then gravity. So let's get started. So the things we need to do this experiment are as follows. Straws, and of course there are reusable ones, so if you have those at home you can use those as well. I was lucky enough to have 2 different sizes, which comes in handy a little bit later. Of course, our ever exciting and best friend, Scotch tape, a pair of scissors, and printer paper or coloring paper or notebook paper, whatever paper you have. And so the interesting thing about the rockets is using different paper might make them fly a little bit differently. So that could be a fun part of this experiment too, if you want to do that. So I'm going to demonstrate 2 different kinds for you today. I have one for the smaller, younger kiddos who may have a little trouble with their fine motor skills, and then I have one for a little bit older. And then of course in the email there is a link to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratories experiment, and that one is really pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of different sort of things you can do with data sets and experimenting with your rocket and the fins, and so that's really neat for your older kiddos. Okay, so let's get started with the younger set. So we have something, you'll see it in the email, but there's a link to this template, which is fun because then each kiddo can color their own rocket and make it as personalized as they'd like to. So you're gonna cut those out, really simple, really easy. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your straw. So I had paper straws, and this was really helpful because my plastic straws fit inside them, which is good because you want your fit of your rocket to be, the paper on the back of your rocket to be snug, to fit the straw in, but not tight because you want to be able to shoot it out. So what I did with this one is I cut this paper straw, and I was able to tape it to the back and then fold down the top so that it created its own little pocket. And that way you can shoot it with the straw pretty easily. And this is a fun one. And then you can bend your fins and see what happens when in the flight, if that changes the flight pattern at all. And the cool thing about this is that it's a really easy thing to do outside. Right? So as long as it's not super windy, go outside, make some chalk marks on your sidewalk or on your driveway, and then see how far your rockets fly. Okay, so this is a really neat one for the younger set. And what I did with this one, of course, was using the straw, but then I also I sort of modified the one we're gonna do in a minute, the older set straw and fin thing for this one, and that's just, you can use paper. So if you don't have a straw, you know, that's bigger than the one straw you may have found in your junk drawer, then this will work too. All right, so let's move on to that one. So this is what the finished product is gonna look like. Well, hopefully yours will look a little nicer than mine. I'm not super crafty. But the important part about this one is that they can decorate this as well. And okay, and you're gonna want fins on this one. So the cool thing about this one is just one piece of paper. 8.5 by 11 will help you a lot in this, but if you don't have that size, that's fine too. You just need an 8.5 long rectangle, right, by 2 inches wide. So get your ruler out. This is great measuring practice for those kids as well. And what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna take your straw on your paper, because again, you want this to be a snug fit, but not a tight fit. So it's a good thing to use. But if you don't have a big straw like this, if you only found maybe a juice box straw or something like that, you can use a pencil or a pen as well. So you're gonna take this with the paper, put it so you can see it, and then we're going to roll it up. And once you have a nice tight roll, which of course I don't have here, sometimes it takes a little practice, even for grown-ups, right? You're gonna take that roll and you're going to tape it up. And the important part about this, of course, is to just have it keep its shape. It doesn't necessarily have to be super tight. It doesn't have to be, you know, all that pretty. Mine over here that I put together already is a little twisted, and that's okay too. So you're gonna tape it up, and then when you have it taped up, you're gonna fold down the top. just like we did with this guy and the straw. Or, for example, this little folded up thing and tape down. So you're gonna tape it up, so you have to make a seal. That's the important thing, is to make a seal so that when you blow into it, the air's not escaping anywhere else. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our fins here. So to do the fins, just cut some right-angled triangles. And then what I did was I just folded them to make it a little bit easier to tape onto the rocket so that you get a little seam right there. And then it's easier to tape it at a right angle onto your rocket, because that's the important part, is the right angle. All right, so then you have your rocket. And the cool thing about this one is that you can decide if the length is going to change the flight. So maybe you want to fold it up. If the tip here, if you want to do another one and maybe fold it so that it's a point and see if that changes things. You can do lots of different things with these rockets, which is pretty interesting because it took, what, 2 minutes, right, to make this? So that's really exciting. And it's really good building those fine motor skills. And of course, it lets you ask a lot of questions, and it lets your kids ask a lot of questions as well. So I'm gonna fly this at you before I go. But I hope you have fun with it and enjoy.